which is a challenge for all of us in a day-to-day clinic. Um, as Dr. Shweta already mentioned, that glaucoma is a progressive disease, and even to establish the diagnosis of glaucoma, we need to establish that the disease is progressive. And also, what is it that we are aiming to achieve by treating these patients? We are basically trying to slow down or prevent progression of disease and hence preserve the visual function and visual disability to be prevented in this subset of patients. Individualizing treatment is based on basically how fast or slowly patients are progressing, which Dr. Shweta already mentioned, that the fast progressors are going to require a very aggressive treatment and closer follow up to make sure that we can give them, protect their quality of life. I think you're going to hear in detail about how structure versus functional tools can help us in glaucoma progression. But what I'm going to take you through is just a general principle in basically detecting progression in glaucoma and what tools can we use in our day-to-day clinical practice. So we do have the structural tools, which are basically the OCT, mostly used now by all of us, and of course also the disc photography, or subjectively defining your disc changes, which is subjective and hence not always the best methodology, but works if you're very meticulous. And then we have the functional tools like the autoperimeters. Basically, we are all using standard autoperimetry, white on white, over time to see how our patients are doing. Just to show you serial disc photographs of a patient where you can see recurrent disc hemorrhages coming and going away. And also if you look at the lower set of left eye pictures, you will see that there is an inferior notch gradually forming along with the RNFL defect over time in the area where the hemorrhage was taking place. Again, you can see a cupping which is increasing with the inferior rim enlarging. If you can't take disc photographs, you can also be meticulous in documenting your disc findings by drawing the diagram and mentioning not only the vertical cup disc ratio, but actually the disc size, and if there's any asymmetry between the two disc sizes, commenting on the neuroretinal rim, if there's any disc hemorrhage, any RNFL defect seen, or about peripapillary atrophy. If you draw it and follow up over time, sometimes that can also give you an idea whether things are progressing. When you look at the glaucoma progression by tools, let's say by autoperimeters or OCT, basically we are looking at event or trend analysis, and you'll hear more of it by Dr. Praveen and Manish in the coming talks. The event-based progression basically determines when a measurement exceeds a pre-established threshold for change from baseline, and we'll see some pictures. And the trend-based analysis quantifies the rate of parameters progression over time, whichever parameter you're looking at. If we were to look at the functional assessment, which is a very important part, and we know that in all the studies, all the landmark studies, we are basically referring to visual field. And also it correlates statistically with the vision-related quality of life index that is very important to us. And there are already algorithms present in the systems to measure change over time. The problem with the fields is that you can have test-retest variability, and you have to do multiple tests to require and confirm if there is any suspect progression. And also there can be poor sensitivity in eyes with early glaucoma, where you can have some amount of retinal ganglion cell loss already happening, but you might not detect it over the perimetry test. Just to show an example, this patient has been doing tests over 7 years, you can see, and there is a lot of test-retest variability over time. But if you really look at the picture 7 years later, there is no true progression in this patient. But you'll see that he keeps fluctuating in and out, either because of his performance or any other factors. So we have to keep that in mind. Looking at another example over here, ideally you would want our patients to stay rock stable, and the rate of progression can be seen when you look at glaucoma progression analysis, either on your machines or on softwares like Forum, which can be quite helpful. But what is important to remember is that suppose, let's say in this left eye picture, if you can see my cursor, the moment you see a particular field showing you progression, it's very important to repeat it. And you can see over here that over a period of time from 2009 to 19, there were 2 times when the patient's visual fields actually deteriorated. But we repeated it either on the same day or within few days from there. And you can see that both the times, the result improved, either because the patient was in a better state of mind or for whatever reason. And over years, you can only see that the field defect is not only stable, is actually looking better because he's learned to do the test better. So that is very important, that you clinically correlate and you make sure that before you label a patient getting progressed, you have re-evaluated that you're really dealing with a change in the field test. Again, as you can see over here, very clear progression over time because the patient was lost to follow-up for 4 years, but we did repeat the test twice to make sure that this is a true progression, and you have to, of course, clinically correlate with the optic nerve head and other parameters. Again, just to show a very frank glaucoma progression over time. And you can see that every time you're seeing the change, do not hesitate to increase the frequency of tests at that particular time to make sure what you're dealing with here. And I will show you in the next few slides as to how you can compare structure versus function and look at the other clinical parameters as well. So again, a clinical picture of one eye progressing. The left eye is progressing over here with the superior arcuate scotoma showing up close to fixation, and you correlate clinically. It's the same patient whose disc photographs I showed, and look at the left eye, the inferior rim is actually getting lost. So if you correlate well, your tools, which is available to all of us in our clinic, like a slit lamp with a 98D or disc photography, can often correlate the findings you see in the field test with the clinical picture if you were documenting it well all along. Just to show another picture or another scan of a patient who over time is showing us, again, a lot of variability, but over time, not much. I'm sorry, I don't really remember what exactly I wanted to show in this picture. But coming to the structure evaluation now, I think most of us are relying more and more on OCT. The spectral domain OCTs are becoming a way of life for our retina colleagues, and we are lucky enough to use it in glaucoma practice. And it allows us to do quantitative assessment, not just of the retinal nerve fiber layer, but the optic nerve head, along with the neuroretinal rim, the cup volume, and the macular area where we can see the GCC. You can also detect change over time, and there are algorithms to detect change. But of course, we still don't know whether to rely on all the quantitative assessments in OCT or RNFL versus the macular changes. If you look over here in a pre-perimetric case of glaucoma, you have rock solid VFI stable over time. But if you pay attention to the RNFL, over time you can see the inferior RNFL is getting lost. And this is a patient of ocular hypertension actually, who's already on treatment, but despite being on treatment, you can see with time, the retinal nerve fiber layer loss is progressing and the fields are normal. So the structural damage can actually sometimes happen before your field test starts to show. Also, in a patient where you have moderate to severe disease, sometimes you'll be surprised at how much your structure can add on information to progression analysis. You can see over here, the fields are looking not too different, but if you look at the retinal nerve fiber layer, you can clearly see that the superior retinal nerve fiber layer is getting further lost over time. You also can actually compare the function and structure in the same printouts now by using softwares like the Forum and all, where you can overlay the field parameters, the values over the OCT and actually compare and see if it's all fitting in. Just to show an example over here, you have an inferior arcuate matching the superior loss. You can actually superimpose that data and actually compare it over time. And also if you look at the follow-up GP analysis, you can get both structure and function on the same GP analysis printout. Again, a patient who's a glaucoma suspect over time shows you a disc hemorrhage inferiorly over here. And if you want to confirm what's happening, the field test is not so clearly visible as progressive, but you have some depression close to fixation superiorly in this eye. But if you look at the OCT, you can clearly see a new inferior defect forming over here, even though the parameters look all green over here, but you can clearly pick up the retinal nerve fiber layer defect matching the area of the disc hemorrhage, which can help you confirm that this patient is actually progressing. So structural changes are more useful in detecting progression in the early stages, as I just showed you, whether they are ocular hypertensive, suspects, or pre-perimetric glaucoma patient eyes. But functional change is always a better indicator when you're dealing with advanced disease. Like, let's say a patient who has 10-degree involvement of field loss, there's no point in really looking at 24 degrees or structure so much closely, but you have to focus more and follow them up with regular field tests, let's say 10 degrees, and follow them up over time. You can also plot them to look at progression analysis in 10 degrees over time. The GCC can be, again, a very helpful tool because it also can show you, you can see very clearly, you can see the inferior RNFL loss over here and a tortoise shell appearance of the GCC. And over time, you can monitor this as well to monitor for progression. And sometimes in advanced cases, the GCC can give you a little more added information. There are also newer tools like the OCT angiography. I personally have just acquired the machine at our institute, so we'll start playing with it. But of course, in the literature now, you can see that there is enough evidence to say that it correlates very well when we're looking at the dropout of the vascular tissue in the posterior segment along the retinal nerve fiber layer cell loss. We can see that we can correlate it well. And sometimes in some cases, we might even find it more sensitive, which means that we can pick up changes on the OCT angiography, even maybe a little earlier than OCT, which can be a helpful tool in detecting progression in such eyes. And also there are some studies which are telling us that in advanced disease also, maybe OCT can bring about a little more information where regular imaging might not be enough to detect progression. But I would like to highlight another important information, that you don't always have to rely only on fields, OCT, and expensive other tools, but a good clinical examination and tools like your gonioscope, your 78D can often also help you detect progression. And every progression on a field test or on OCT might not be glaucomatous. So please remember, there can be other superimposed diseases like AION or retinal pathologies, which can show you and super added defect onto the field, which might not be glaucoma. As you can see over here, the field has worsened very drastically in this image over here. But if you look at the RNFL and the GCC map, there's absolutely no glaucomatous damage over here. So whatever you're seeing over here is due to either cataract or any other retinal pathology or just a bad test, but this is not a glaucoma progression. So I think that's a very important thing to remember, that everything looking black on the fields or progressing on the OCT might not be due to glaucoma. And again, when you see a true progression, please re-establish your diagnosis. Have you missed anything? Was it an angle closure disease that you're treating as an open angle disease? Is there pseudoexfoliation or pigment dispersion that you didn't look at? Or a secondary glaucoma has got added on, like neovascularization? So it's important to remember that 50% of our primary glaucoma eyes are angle closure, and there's nothing more valuable than gonioscopy in your clinics to make sure that you detect them. And very often I see in my clinic that progressive glaucoma is due to angle closure, which has been missed. So I cannot highlight more the importance of detecting angle closure and appropriately treat it over time with the IPI or other modalities. Pseudoexfoliation again can be a type of glaucoma in our clinics which can progress more rapidly compared to primary glaucomas, and it's important that you identify it when you see patients who are progressing on either function or structural changes. Sometimes you can have hidden gems available on slit lamp examination, which can help you detect why this particular progression is happening in a patient, whether there are pigment dispersion or uveitis superimposed or neovascularization or any other inflammation in the eye. You should be able to pick it up. And subtle signs like that will help you prevent progression in patients in your clinic. So just to conclude, glaucoma cannot be treated appropriately without monitoring progression of the disease, and detecting progression and determining the cause of progression can be challenging and requires not just fancy tools like field OCT or Okta for that matter, but it requires comprehensive evaluation. And structural and functional tools help us significantly detect progression in most cases in our clinic. And we are going to hear more in the coming talks by Dr. Manish and Praveen, and Dr. Aditya will also share some case reports, which I hope will help all of you learn and practice it in your day-to-day clinic. Thank you.